Okay, so welcome to the order block course where a lot of people have been waiting for this for a little while. So it's not gonna be too in-depth. I'm just gonna go over more live markets, and I want to reuse some of the other courses that I've made in which I already go over order blocks. So it's not gonna be too much detail within the first part of the course where I just do the presentation. So let's kind of dive in here. So I think we all know what order blocks are, but so they're essentially just blocks in which you want to enter your trades at, right? So how do you select them, right? Let's just dive into that. Usually what people tend to say is the last down move before the up move, or vice versa. So if this were inversed, then it would be the last up move before the down move, and you select that as the order block. There are additional nuances to this, and there's a whole list here. So we're just going to go over them one by one on this chart. Now, it's not completely drawn out on this little fake chart here, but it will show the nuances, right? So it needs to be untested. So what can't have happened is you can't have this downtrend, and then you have this order block, but right here, price action broke this, this lower high, broke it, and already retested it on the lower time frame, and then popped up. Then this is a bad order block because there's no guarantee that this is going to come tested again, because technically seen on the lower time frame, it had already tested it and went up. So additionally, the next thing is a big move imbalance created. So essentially, if you have this downtrend and then you have this sudden super big spike up, this is going to want to get filled, right? So this entire imbalance area over here is going to want to get like retested and mitigated, and then ultimately that will result into this order block that also wants to get tested to get filled in, and your orders will get filled there. Then next is a real change of character. So you want to change a character, right? So this is the leading trend, and this is a small move comparatively to this move, and you essentially want this to be broken, right? And also this. So here you could say there's a change of character in the market, which confirms this order block, if we retest it, is a good entry, right? So we're going to go over this again in a few of these examples, etc. So don't worry, but that is a change of character. Instead of there just being a change of character right here, you want maybe a major one to confirm the smaller order block. Gaps can indicate great order blocks. So on some markets, you can't really draw it out here. But on some markets, there are gaps, especially stocks, etc. Sometimes Forex, but mainly stocks, there are gaps. And when there's a gap, so let's say this was a gap, or let's say this was a gap, this gap down, right? Or this was a gap, this gap up. Then this down move will be an even greater order block, because a gap usually really wants to get filled. So kind of hard to explain with this, to be fair, but I might have an example of it in a second here. Extreme level order blocks are often better, which essentially means if you have an order block here and then there was a tiny move right here and a continuation, then this tiny move right here would not be a nice order block comparatively to the larger major order block over here, right? So usually you want the more extreme levels or the more major levels to be your order blocks, and not some little things in between, because then you get caught up in this entire idea of constantly wanting to take these trades that ultimately aren't at extreme or good levels. So you're taking trades that are completely unnecessary and often poor, because when you put your stop loss, it's going to get hit, because these extreme levels, not these tiny little levels in between, are the levels that are like magnets that the market is going to go to. Use different time frames to confirm. So that kind of comes down to, if you have this chart, this, let's say, is the 4 hour, then if you go down to the 1 hour, you can really see what happened right here and what happened right here, and then you can confirm that there is no retest already, or that there is a real change of character on the 1 hour already, or etc., right? So you can kind of reconfirm your bias for this order block. Sometimes wicks count, sometimes they don't. So this comes down to a lot of people select, and these two are kind of combined. Everybody selects differently, right? Everybody kind of selects their order blocks differently, right? So just because you say this is going to be my order block, and let's say this includes wicks and everything, doesn't mean that somebody else can say like, oh, but my order block is right here because there's this, on the 50-minute, there's this little baby move here, so I only want this, and I don't want this top area, or you don't want the bottom area, you only want the top area. That's completely dependent on how you pick your order blocks. Sometimes people use wicks, and wicks are usually the thing that most people have a dispute over. So is a wick included in the order block, or is it excluded from the order block? That is usually the biggest dispute. But again, there are different types of order blocks and different types of like people that how they pick them. So it's completely like irrelevant. It's gonna have to become a feel for you how you like to select your order blocks and how you enter trades that are ultimately the risk to reward trades that you want to have, rather than shitty trades, right? Where you enter too early or too late. So you're gonna have to get a feel for order blocks by practicing them and seeing how you like to have your order blocks. Okay, so let's dive in further. So here you can see this currency pair. We can see a change of character as I spoke about, right? I said a real change of character. So here you can see a relatively major change of character. So this area you can technically say that this is already a change of character, but this is the real change of character since there is a downtrend, the last lower high, and that is now broken. Right, so now we're looking for an order block. Price moves on up, and we decide, so this is where we left off, and we decide, hey, this entire large move down before the up, and you can see how I selected it here, is I selected the up move, and I didn't select this top area. Right, now why exactly, I don't know. I guess that just was the feeling I had at the time. In hindsight, maybe I would have selected all of it, this entire wick, or this entire candle here. In this case, I selected slightly less of the move. Now, here comes a nuance. Needs to be untested, right? And you can see here, technically speaking, this retest here, which I think on the 1 hour, this is a tested order block, technically speaking, right? My reason for probably still picking this order block as an order block is because we're a strong trend, and this move is such a major like volatility move that there's a lot of like orders in here or right here or in this area in general, right? So whether it's here or here, there's going to be a lot of orders here, just because it's such a volatile move where it's one candle and a recovery that resulted in a big move. So you can see on the 4 hour, I decided to reconfirm on different time frames that there is a good so let's say a correspondence here, and you can see that this entire wick just seems like we want to come back into it and do something. So this is kind of irrelevant to selecting order blocks, but you can enter in order blocks different ways. You can enter by having a market order or limit order, either one. This could be a limit order as well at the top or middle of the order block, but you can kind of read, you can pause and read here if you so please. It's just depending on how you like trading, etc., just like how you like selecting your order blocks. And you can see here that you were tapped in if you had the top order block or top entry and not the middle 50% entry. But yeah, so that's how we selected this order block. You can see we ultimately did want to mitigate this order block. And now we're on to the next one for another case study. Price plays out here, and again, so this is the last little, so here you can see how I selected it. It's slightly different because it isn't the last down move before the up move. It's kind of like the last up move combined with this little down move here, and all of it is my order block, right? So it's kind of inversed here. I decided that this is my order block. This last move, generally, not particularly the last down move before the up move, but the last move before the up move, essentially. This little thing I selected as my order block. Now, some people will come at me for that and say, hey, you're a fucking fool. But that is ultimately the feel I've gotten for the market. Technically, you can also say it has been tested here. I'm not putting too much value to that. Yeah, so we go on, and you can see the price ultimately comes back in, tests that little order block, and continues on upwards. So price continues, and here we have a perfect example of a gap, right? So we have a gap down and this price action, which ultimately, there's a nuance here, but we're just going to get into it. So we select the order block, the entire thing here, and drag it out, right? So why exactly do I select the entire thing? We have this up move from where we were just at, right? So this is where we're just at, and we go up, 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 and we gap down, and then we go up. The reason is technically seen, this is where price action started after the gap. So this is also still a down move. Even though we went up, this entire thing from here to here is technically seen if we were to go maybe on the lower time frame, or you could see gaps as candles, this would be a major red candle. So I just decided to select this entire move, just like I did right here, right? This move as my order block. In this case, there's the nuance of it. You could consider it all a down move, but either way, I decided to select the move right here rather than it being the last up move or last down move before the other direction move. I decided to just select the move, and that would be my order block. You can see how beautiful of a of an order block it really is, right? Not only did we get a beautiful retest of it, we got real consolidation in the area with a change of character here that really confirmed the fact that this was a strong support area right here. Limit orders versus market orders. Essentially, how you enter the trade. Do you enter it manually, which when you do it here, right, a manual order would be amazing here because you get so much confirmation that you're like, okay, I want to enter this. You could probably re-enter multiple times. You could have a limit order here and you entered it and you can see this retest and you're like, oh, this looks great. Enter a bit more. You can see this retest here again and bounce above here. Another change of character. And you're like, yes, fuck it. I'm entering even more. And ultimately, maybe even here, you can enter again on the lower time frame. This would have been an order block that would have been tested by this wick. If you had a limit order there on the lower time frame, again, you would have entered even more and you would have probably had a crazy run on this trade. So yeah, that's kind of the difference between limit orders, market orders. Do you enter trades manually or not? And yeah, here you can kind of see change of characters on the lower time frame and entries and confirmations on this exact chart. Yeah, so essentially just like I just spoke about, right? If you want to enter manually, something like this where you have a lot of consolidation within your order block is an amazing market entry, rather than a limit entry where if you're just monitoring your trades, this would have been like you would have entered multiple times, right? You would have entered essentially maybe with your market order just the moment you entered this order block, and when you have the change of character here on the lower time frame on the 5-minute or the 15-minute, you could see one change of character here, another change of character from here, so like this, right here, a higher time frame change of character, a retest of this order block down here, a continuation of retest of this order block down here, entry, this order block tested here. You could just constantly enter on different time frames and just really size up that position with a great risk to reward ratio on this trade. So yeah, that's essentially it. Now we're just going to go into the live markets. This is the GBP USD chart, and you can see how many little order blocks I have, and the moment they're kind of tested, I kind of leave them to be. So you can see that here I reversed, but we can just go, where do we want to start on this? We'll just start down here with my last one that I have left drawn in history on the 26th of May. So you can see I selected not this as an order block, but right here. So this is the last down move before a major up move and a change of character right here. There you go, right? So a change of character on this. So now it is a bullish structure because this is the last significant lower high that is then broken by this major move, and this order block has been unmitigated. So the moment we kind of have this great, so again, if I just go all the way back here, big move imbalance created, right? So you can see this big move is created where there's an imbalance, there's no real down move since this major up move, and then there's a change of character, and this order block is untested, except maybe not even this tested it, right? So this is a great order block. You enter a trade right here at the top of the order block, which I believe I did, and then you can see we run it up to Valhalla, essentially, all the way up to here, right? Now you could say that this would have been, I'm not sure how this went for me, but you could say that this is an order block reversed, and this would have been a perfect moment to sell. I'm sure that I sold most of it, whether it was here on this order block, right, or whether it was on this order block, that most of it was sold. But you can see that if you reverse it, you get essentially the same effect, right? You get the same ideas to come again. And if we just continue from here on, right, we can leave these ones to be for now. But if you continue from here on and you say, what are we looking at here? Let's say the last down move before the up move. I would say this, but I don't think that was tested, but we can see tested as well. So even this last move, now again, this is not the last down move for the up move. This is the last, what I would consider consolidation, or like move that, like, where it was kind of struggling before the up move. And you can see that if I just delete this, it was tested here, and we continued to the upside. Now I did have an order block here drawn from before, where I did draw the last down move before the up move, where we got to break a structure right here, right, or change of character. So we're looking for longs now, and I probably entered here and entered here again before there was a lot of continuation to the upside, and I probably just sold into this order block, I presume. Now right over here, since this is a beautiful area with long wicks, so here you can see I select an order block by just selecting the wicks without any body at all, and you can see this was a perfect place to sell into this previous very trendy, or rather volatile, so to speak, order block here that really just like spiked up and just got destroyed, right? Now you can see here that this was a great entry, big run up, great moment to sell up here, and then we have this down move in which I selected this entire thing, this entire candle here as my order block, and we just have this crazy move that is, I think up until today, if I remember correctly, completely unmitigated. Yeah, untested still till today. Now, as a nuance for you, what you could say is you could say that this entire thing on the higher time frame, let's go 4 hour, is a down move before the up move untested, but currently it is tested, which if you were to go kind of ham, this would have been a fine trade, to be fair. You can see that I was trading on the 1 hour there. If you decide to trade on the 4 hour or maybe even the 8 hour, this would have been a great trade. I'm unsure how it looks on the 12. Even the 12, you can see that this would have been just a fair entry to enter this here and have a great run up. Now I usually like to play them a bit safer, right? So as I said here, extreme level order blocks are often better, right? So I decided with this order block that I would rather have this more or less as my order block, and wait for this to come down here, test and run. Then I would have this entire thing as my order block, because honestly I could see this having come down here and really just gone deep into it. And if I had entered right here and it cuts this deep, and I'm like big into, still I have my risk reward like management and everything, so it wouldn't have been that insane. It just would have been this trade where I was like, why didn't I just wait for maybe even here, this to read my order block essentially. And that's my style of selecting order blocks. Now yours could be different. You could be way more risk averse than I am, but that is ultimately the way I enter the trades. Let's just make sure I didn't delete everything that we needed here. Looks about good. And you can see here that here I did do that. I did select a major order block. I believe that I entered this, that's why it was drawn like that, because I entered this right here, and then I kind of leave it, right? So once I've drawn it, I've used it, I kind of delete it, and this just was perfect, like right back into this previous order block right here, and that was it. That was the trade. So if this spike hadn't happened, I'm certain that I would have been stopped out right here on this move. Here's another one I didn't see, but you could argue that this is a order block here. Would have stopped you out probably, but you could argue this was a nice order block to have this entire run go for you as well. Let's just make sure that that is still drawn for the sake of the video. Yeah, you could say this is an order block up here, and it's tested here, and then we crashed, but the trend is upward, so I really wouldn't have done much here, right? So because the trend is so strong up, I wouldn't have been looking for a double top here to come collapsing down. And now current markets, how we're still moving right now on the GBP USD chart. We have a order block right here after we had a nice run up, and now the trend has been downwards, so I am not looking to enter right here, right? So that is the power of having market orders rather than limit orders. You have full autonomy over when you enter these trades. You're not putting this entry like, oh, I'm entering here, right? So if I had a limit order right here, I'd be in this trade right now. But to be fair, I wouldn't be surprised to see this come down one more time, really test this order block properly before we have some type of change of character. I can market enter, and we get a continuation to the upside, right? So that's kind of the nuance of limit orders, market orders. That's why I tend to go with market orders. I'm more right, I don't like risk, so I'm not gonna sit here and enter limit order at the top. Maybe at the mid range I would have a limit order. If I would have a limit order, it would be at the middle of the order block. It'd be right about here, with a stop loss right under, so that we can run it up. But ultimately, like for me, market orders are the best way to enter. For when I see something like this, we get deep into it, and we see a real change of character. Now that would be the realest change of character, right? This, where we break this high, would be the ultimate change of character for me, and then I would select this as my order block where we come in and continue to the upside. So I hope that kind of makes it clear what I'm looking for when it comes to order blocks, why I don't enter limit orders per se myself, yeah, and just how you should select your order blocks. And again, I think that you shouldn't copy the way I select them, or there's hundreds of people that make courses about how to select your best order blocks and thousands of YouTube videos. I would say kind of just look at the markets and see how you like to select your order blocks, how risk averse you are, how much risk you want to put, and just kind of select it that way. Kind of say, look, okay, I like it when it tests like this, and from how I see the market and how I've seen the market move, I always see it do XYZ. That's why I select my order blocks like this. Like still for me, like some might say this is a ridiculous way to enter. Like even this one, this is like, what do you even like? How did you select that order block? Well, it works for me, right? This was a great trade. This is not an order block. It's not the last down move for the up move. No, but it is somewhere where price consolidated and it hadn't really mitigated it. Technically seen, it did test it here, but it worked for me. We had a nice test and we had a great run up, right? You can see all the way from here where I entered, we had it run up all the way to up here. Like that is like a big trade. Additionally, on this one, this technically seen, hey, that's not the last down move for the up move. No, but it's the last move before the move, and I like that move, right? So that's how I select my order block, and then we can see this. We don't see the result of this trade, but we ran that one up a lot. So that's kind of it, right? And yeah, so what I would ask you guys to do is just join the team. We have a free Telegram where I do post trades sometimes, and I do post some alerts, and I do post some things about just macroeconomic situations or anything of that sort. Additionally, we have a newsletter in which we do just macro overviews, which I think is the most crucial thing to making good trades and having informed decision making. So I would really, if you want to make informed decisions, if you want to make sure you put the right trades on at the right time by knowing what's going on economically, globally, then that is probably somewhere where you want to be signed up. Additionally, we do have the full trading courses, which are also available on my website. So you can see that at boomish.org. And you're going to get full access to all the trade ideas and everything essentially. And then I would like you guys to visit me on Twitter. There's free alerts on there additionally sometimes, and just insights about trading and how to have a trading lifestyle and really understand what it means to be a trader. And then additionally, as disclosure, this is not financial advice in any way, shape, or form. This is really just like me talking about the way I trade, in the hope that anybody out there thinks, hey, look, that is beneficial to my life, right? I like the way you speak about trading or whatever. So it's not financial advice. I always advise just go to a financial advisor if you do seek some investment advice or etc. Well, thank you guys.